Hello class, this video is about working with lists and also using functions to iterate through items of a list. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a function, and I will call that function list function, and I will expect list function to take a parameter of a list. So I'm going to show you two ways to iterate through the values of a list. So the first one and the most simplest version is going to actually just be using the for keyword, and I'm going to call each list item and a list. So this will loop through. If you read this out, this will loop through for every list item in a list. What do you want to do? So I will indent after this, and that will tell Python that I am within the for loop. And let's do something simple, and let's just print out each item. So outside of the function, notice how I'm not within the indent, so I'm going to be outside of the function. I will create the list, and I will call it something super creative, and I will call it the list. And let's just add some names in here. And there's our list, and it has string values of first names. And then let's call our function that we created above, and let's pass in the list. So let's run this. And you will see we've looped through each item in the list, and we are printing them out. So that is different than just strictly calling the print function on the list. Let me show you the difference. So when I call print the list, it prints the entire list. This technique is actually looping through each individual item and printing that. So that's important because you can actually do things in here and do operations on this list. You can say if list item equals Bob, then print that name. So that should hopefully only print the name Bob. You can also get a little fancier and say things like if the list item is Bob or Jane, print those. So that would be Bob or Jane. Now I could change this to and when I run the module, I get nothing because none of these items are Bob and Jane at the same time. So that hopefully makes sense. We could do something this, and I can say if list item does not equal Bob. So that should print everything but Bob. Okay. So you get the picture that we're looping through each item in the list, and we can do operations on those. So another way to do this is by actually getting the index, so list index. I'm going to change this. I'm going to use the range. It may take me a second. I think that there's a link. Okay. So let's just print out list index and see what that looks like. So let's talk about this for a second before we run it. This is the same for loop, but now I've changed it up just a little bit because I'm actually calling the range keyword. Now if you remember back from loops, excuse me, this will actually loop through the number of times that of what number is passed in here. Well, in this case, I'm passing in the length. So that's a helper function we have for list, the length of the list. So it should be 4. So let's run this and see what we get. So, and if you remember, the range never includes the last item. So since there's 4 items, we're going to get 0, 1, 2, 3. Now that works out really nicely because hopefully in your reading you've learned about lists. The index of a list starts at 0. So that means that Bob is at position 0, Sally's at position 1, Jane's at position 2, and so on. But it starts at 0. So to actually access the item, so right now I'm just printing out my numbers. That's what list index is. This is the number. So to actually access the item, I need to say I want index number list index of a list. So to access a specific item with an index value, we use our bracket notation. So this means from a list, give me the thing, in this case the string value, at this index. So if I print this out, instead of printing the actual numbers, this will print the actual values, because now I'm saying give me the value at this index instead of just saying print that index. So if you have any questions about accessing items in a list or using them or passing a list into a function, please reach out to me. Also, if you run across anything in your reading and you would like clarification on some section, some example, I would be happy to record a custom lecture and post it on the website. Thanks.